You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
This episode is brought to you by Snapple. Want to know another Snapple fact? The first hot air balloon passengers were a sheep, a duck, and a rooster. Ridiculous. Check out Snapple.com to find ridiculously flavored Snapple near you.
Recorded in Chicago, Illinois, with your hosts, Ken, Matt, Neil, and Jeff. This is Triviality.
Hello and welcome to Triviality, the game where a lack of seriousness meets a little bit of knowledge. My name is Neil, here with Ken, Jeff, and Matt as per usual. How are you guys?
Very good. And we have a little extra knowledge today.
We do have a little extra knowledge today.
Which is exciting for us.
Actual knowledge, right. It's always a lack of seriousness, but we actually have some actual knowledge here today. So we're so excited to get a chance to tell you about a brand new book that has just been released. It's right up our alley. It's called Baby...
But for once, it's not your book.
It's not my book this time. Yeah, that's true. Not for another couple months.
The first non-Neil book I've read. It's exciting.
Yeah, so please, by the numbers, I'm assuming people will buy this book because it's not me. So hopefully this will happen. But we're so excited to welcome Buzzy Cohen to the studio. How are you, Buzzy?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Your new book is called Baby Got Facts, Totally 90s Trivia. And as we were saying before we started recording, we're all about the same age. So this is a perfect book for us. But I think I read in here that you got into the 90s, or at least the nostalgia of it through your sister. But why don't you talk a little bit about the background about the 90s and why you did a whole book on it?
Yeah, well, I think as we were sort of discussing, those of us who came of age in the 90s, whether, you were a teenager or a young person or whatever, we're all kind of adults now and getting to look back. Maybe some of us are having our own kids and thinking about the kinds of things we were doing when we were 4 or 5 or 10 or 15 or whatever. And so I think, we've hit a point kind of midlife-ish where we're looking back, and it's kind of fun to revisit some of this stuff. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I'm on Instagram or TikTok, I get fed these sort of like 90s nostalgia, like the ads or the intros to TV shows and all that stuff. And so it just felt like it was something that was in the air. I do still have an older sister, and so she was definitely the one who was like cooler than me and older than me, and was like, oh, you should check this out. She always watched 90210, so I watched 90210. Not that was so cool, but I watched it, and Melrose Place. She went to an Alanis Morissette concert and was like, hey, you should check out the band that opened for them, and bought me a CD and a t-shirt, and that band was Radiohead, It's like, so that was like their first concerts in the U.S. was opening for Alanis Morissette. So she was really, pivotal in kind of those formative years. And I think, we all, I don't know if we yearn for it, but it's definitely an interesting time to look back on. The decade started kind of with the fall of the Soviet Union and sort of ended with the rise of the internet as beyond just sort of like AOL and email into, the .com bubble right at the end of the 90s, but just the idea that there was this whole world kind of blooming at the end. So it was a very, interesting kind of transitional decade. I mean, every decade has changes and stuff like that, but it really feels like the world we're living into now, the world we're living in now, its seeds were planted in the 90s.
Yeah. And I'm not too into the social media, but working at a high school, I can tell you, indeed, the 90s are back.
Definitely. Oh, yeah.
Yes, yeah, all the clothing, for sure.
Yes, the low-rise jeans, the baggies, the choker necklaces, and they're all watching Friends, and, it's wild.
Yeah, and it makes sense, too, that I'm assuming in your own house that you have your own Peach Pit, then, if you're a 90210 fan, I'm guessing.
I'm actually not a huge. I just had to watch it because, my house had one TV. But my wife is a huge 90210 fan, and so we recently, funny enough, our kids' school had a fundraiser, and the theme was 90s, and they had us dress up like the 90s. And my wife made a sign that said Donna Martin graduates that she carried around. So yeah, we get into it. And it's funny too, like my kids think everything my wife and I do is weird and stuff, but then they start doing things that we used to do, and we're like, oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, you don't know about this. And I'm like, I definitely know about snap bracelets.
It's like when I'm peppered with questions about the Ninja Turtles, and I'm like, I was there when they were invented. I know
Ninja
all
Turtles,
the Ninja Turtles.
huge.
It makes me think too. I'm getting a lot of the same TikToks. It's like I've got a pizza and a VHS. My Friday Night's Made, or the other ones that I love now, which are kids with pop songs or house music or whatever that are using 90s track, and it's like, this is a brand new song. It's like, no, it's not. You're just sampling something I listened to when I was younger. But one of the things that I love about the book, and I think I said it in the beginning, it's perfect for us here at Triviality because we're kind of so pop culture focused. But just some of the things you cover: boy band, Schwarzenegger, Seinfeld, TGIF, Goosebumps, Nickelodeon. This is all stuff we talk about like daily. So that's perfect. But I did want to mention, so your first quiz, I was just curious where the concept came from about all questions about Linda, because number 2 is a character that I send this GIF anytime I introduce people on the internet through email, and I'll say, Buzzy, meet Matt, and then I put Linda Richmond there and say, talk amongst yourselves. But just curious where that came from.
I don't know where that came from. I started working on the book, and the first thing that came to mind, I will say at the same time, I'm a huge fan of Only Connect. I don't know if you all are Only Connect fans, but I'm America's #1 Only Connect fan. So connection stuff is like big. And so I think for some reason, the idea that there were like, I could do a round of Only Connect where it's like all people named Linda popped into my head, and it emerged. It kind of emerged fully formed, just as you see it now in the book. But it is weird how many Lindas were notable in the 1990s.
No, it's so many. And of course, you mentioned Linda Hamilton. You have to, right? From Terminator 2. Yeah. Just badass.
Yeah.
And you did mention Brain Quest cards in there, too, as an inspiration, which we loved those.
Just unlocked a memory.
I'm sure those are somewhere in my parents' attic. Like, they've got to be there.
Yeah, that was it for me.
Yeah, so I know you said in the book, obviously Jeopardy, which you're a champion and everyone, knows and loves you from Jeopardy. But so Brain Quest, anything else that kind of got you into just, pop culture or trivia at a young age?
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, the Brain Quest cards were big. I had a World Book Encyclopedia next to my bed that like my grandfather had gifted me, and I was not a good sleeper. And this was before the days of like melatonin for kids. And so I would just stay up all night reading the encyclopedia. I feel like there were also a lot more kids game shows that were kind of quiz shows with a twist. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego is basically a geography quiz. Double Dare is kind of a quiz show, and it's like if you can't do it, all those shows we used to watch, like What Would You Do, Double Dare, Legends of the Hidden Temple. Those all had like quiz rounds, and so I feel like it was just kind of ingrained in me, this sort of quizziness, and I was just good at it. I liked doing it.
Yeah, and I think speaking of Double Dare, I was a huge fan of that show. And I don't know if anyone listening knows this. You probably know this, Buzzy. But so Mark Summers obviously had OCD, did not like that kind of thing. And he was hosting Double Dare, which was just funny in and of itself. But there's a whole Broadway show now about him and his experience working at Nickelodeon. It's written by a Tony nominee, Alex Brightman, who portrayed Beetlejuice on Broadway.
It was Beetlejuice. Yeah.
Yep, and it's called The Life and Slimes of Mark Summers. It's like his story. Yes,
fantastic.
It's like a one-man show that he hosts. So I feel like that'd be right up your alley, Buzzy.
Yeah, I know, and I know that there's that documentary which sounds pretty dark about like the Nickelodeon kids and their parents. But I remember before, like a few years back, there was an oral history of like Double Dare and how they had like the 10 games, and they would just, in the 5 shows or whatever they would tape that day, they would just move them around in like a different order. And by the end of the day, there was like whipped cream baking under the lights, and it just smelled like vomit. And they would, like the first week of taping or something like that, there was a kid who got hurt. It turned out the dad was a lawyer. And so they're like, then they started asking the kids who wanted to be contestants, like, are either of your parents attorneys? And when they said yes, they wouldn't get picked. Because it was just, it was extremely chaotic.
What a specific question.
Yeah.
We ask our guests.
Do you know what an
too.
NDA is?
It's like jury selection.
Not to go back to Arnold, right? Who's your daddy and what does he do?
That's so funny. So when
Kindergarten Cop, you're too young.
No.
We had to take away the Arnold soundboard. It was too much. Yeah, they had to go.
Yeah, we had one for a while. I did children's theater for a while, and I asked the kids, "Who was your daddy? And what does he do?" It did not go as well as the movie, but they did not understand. They're like, "What are you talking about? Like, stop talking to us."
Like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. Speaking of Nickelodeon, with Double Dare, I know Matt, you have the giant nose in your house, but I'm curious. Like, they had so many good game shows. If if someone's like, "Hey, Buzzy, we're gonna, fund a new TV show," is there one you would want to bring back and host if you could, like one of the trivia, fun, figure it out type shows?
I actually, it's not a kid show, but I loved Concentration.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you guys watched.
Yeah.
And actually, Alex Trebek hosted Classic Concentration.
Yeah, I watch it on GSN all the time.
From his estate sale, do you want me to pull it out? I'm going to show you. Can I pull it out? Am I interrupting?
No.
He's reaching into the nose from Double Dare.
Buzzy approaches the closet.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
That's wild.
That's really cool.
See what it says, though?
What is that?
Leg. A plus
Alex
leg.
Trebek.
Alex Trebek.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
Alex Trebek.
That's amazing.
That's really cool.
So yeah, that was his. But yeah, I remember I used to play Concentration, the video game, the PC video game with my grandpa, because I really like that game. I think it's a fun one. And this, to me, this was very that like kind of 90s early days of computers, but you don't know Jack.
Oh yeah.
Didn't really work well as a TV show with, Paul Rubens, who I also love. I dedicate the book to Pee Wee Herman. But I don't know if you caught that. But
yes, I was going to ask about that. Yeah.
But you don't know Jack was also a bit like I just used to play the video game version of that incessantly.
Yeah, I ran through all the questions so many times. I was like, oh, know that one, because it was limited on how many, but it's fun.
There is nothing like getting a can of Coke, playing like WCW Nitro on N64, and then going on the big computer with Jack for like 2 hours. So
yeah, exactly.
We love that. So one of the things in the book, as everyone who listens to the show knows, we're all here based in Chicago, and the suburbs were actually like 5 minutes from the what do you call it? The Spire, basically, from Wayne's World.
The Spindle.
The Spindle. Thank you.
Yeah, if anyone remembers that scene with the cars piled up on the. Yep.
Yes, we're 5 minutes from that, but
it's gone now.
Yeah, it was torn down.
He turned it into a Walgreens, that's what we said.
Yeah, you can get McDonald's over there, but you can't see it anymore.
Paid Paradise put up a parking lot.
They did.
That's
Joni
right.
Mitchell would be
the
sad.
parking lot was already there, though. They
it
didn't have to do that.
It was.
It was already a parking lot.
They
now
paved
they up the parking lot, put up a Walgreens.
And tore down a piece of my childhood.
But you did say Illinois is the most 90s state, which is pretty fun. Just for the listeners, I guess we read it here, but what's the reasoning behind that? Because we agree.
Yeah, I think when I think about like the big, a lot of people want to give it to Seattle, but I think Seattle really only has a little bit of a claim with grunge, which was really like grunge was like a pretty quick moment. But, when I think about the 90s, so much of the culture that we enjoyed was from Illinois. So Home Alone was in Chicago, Lollapalooza, Family Matters, ER, the Chicago Bulls, Wayne's World. I think also, was it Family Matters?
Yeah.
Did I say that already?
Yeah.
Family Matters was Chicago.
Perfect Strangers.
Yeah.
Too.
So I feel like Perfect Strangers. Yeah, that was the other one I was thinking of. So I just feel like when I think of like something set in the 90s, it's set in Chicago for some reason.
And I feel like
nothing happened
edition.
in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, well, that's true. I think when you write the 2000s book, then you can say the 2000s reminds you of Chicago because you have Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, Chicago PD.
Yeah. I actually already talked to the editor talked to me about a 2000s book. And we have a couple of fun names. The one that I can say, because they're not going to use it, that I really want the book to be called is Trivia by Santana featuring Rob Thomas.
Oh, that's a shame.
Oh, man.
Title's so smooth.
That was my freshman year of marching band. We had to play Smooth, but we played it ad nauseum. I can't listen to that song anymore. We played it so much. We went to Northern Illinois University, and every single band from Illinois, like 50 bands, played Smooth at the same time during halftime. It was crazy.
Did it go well?
The people loved it.
I didn't have to play it in any band, and it's still pretty hard to listen to. But occasionally I'll find myself living in Southern California going, oh, it's a hot one. And nobody kind of knows that I'm in fact referencing Smooth by Santana featuring Rob
When people
Thomas.
don't understand what I'm saying when I say it's a hot one and I continue the song, I'm like, where have you been? Really?
Like 7 inches from the midday sun.
Like
and everyone's
7
like,
inches
what
from
are
the
you
midday
talking
sun.
about? They just think I'm talking about the web series with the wings.
Hot ones, yeah.
I'm curious too, like just from writing some books myself and everything. Like I know sometimes you write stuff that you really want to write. It comes out really quickly, and then the editor or the publisher might say, "Hey, we'd love a quiz on this, or we'd love something on that."
Mm-hmm.
What were the things that you like wrote right away? You're like, "Oh, I got to get this out. This is my favorite stuff." And what's something that you're like, "I didn't really think about doing it, but I'm happy I did because now it's in the book."
Well, I can take the second part of your question first. That's a little easier for me to think about. One thing that I hadn't really done before, I had written quizzes before in sort of a pub quiz style or whatever, but the variety quizzes was something new to me. So there's the straightforward question answer, and then there are some more puzzly or match things up. That was kind of a new thing, and so I really leaned on my great editor Francis for some ideas in terms of how to do that and how to set it up, and he also like provided a few for me, which was a big help. But then I kind of got into it. So like for instance, the Home Alone house map was like a fun one to do, and not as fun, but kind of a weird puzzle is like figuring out the electoral college for Clinton, because it's a math problem basically. You know how many votes he got, and then also you got to figure out what states he won or would win, and it's kind of an interesting puzzle. I'm not a Friends guy, so but I knew I had to put a Friends quiz in there, so that one was hard. The Seinfeld stuff was easy. Yep. I'm a big Star Trek fan, so I knew I wanted to do and I also think like 90s Star Trek, was you had TNG and DS9 and Voyager all on the air. So there was a lot of material there. But I didn't want to go too deep because I know it's like kind of almost like a subculture thing, but I threw it in there. I love Schwarzenegger, so I knew I wanted to do an Arnold one, and I knew I wanted to do. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger is kind of like the most 90s movie star.
Oh yeah,
he's like The Rock now.
Can't disagree.
Exactly. And also just like the fact that he like went into politics, was sort of like larger than life, and driving the Hummers, smoking the cigars, like the whole vibe was so for me so tied with the 90s. He was involved in Planet Hollywood, which was also kind of like him and Stallone. Stallone's got a claim to it, but so yeah, I knew I wanted to do that. And then of course, like the kind of the sort of, we don't really have the kind of TV blocks anymore that we did in the 90s. So like, SNCC, Disney Afternoon, TGIF, the must-see TV. There isn't a must-see TV category, but that kind of stuff I knew I was going to do. And then food and beverage, I always like doing food and beverage questions, so that was good. One thing that was like a little trickier for me, but I kind of found a way, was like I really wanted to do a lot about innovation. So there's like a whole chapter of like inventions from the 90s. I was looking up like phrases that were coined in the 90s and stuff like that. So I found a bunch of different ways into the material beyond kind of the pop culture staples. And then also, I had fun with the celebrity couple thing. I feel like that concept really became bigger in the 90s than it was. There were always celebrity couples. I mean, going back to, like
Anthony
royal families and stuff like that. But I feel like
Adam and Eve.
Something happened where it was like everybody kind of was like dating and together and divorced and back to, and maybe it was just the maybe it was just because I was growing up and like my mom always got People magazine or something like that. But I felt like it was really in your face in a way that like kind of set the stage for, what the kind of celebrity soaked culture that we're in now.
Yeah, and that's a really cool part of the book too, because you got some nice pictures in there of like the initials, so and so plus so and so.
Oh, like the tree.
I feel like it would be carved into a tree.
Yeah, so that's a nice, cool little visual round too, in a way.
Yeah, I tried to as much as possible. I wanted to do one because I really liked the doing the beverages round. I don't, because we were all like drinking insane things when you like look back at it.
Yeah.
And Ecto, although I didn't put Ecto Cooler in there because it launched before the 90s technically. But like
So
Orbits, do you remember the Orbits drink?
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, like food. Now we have boba, so it doesn't seem so weird. But I remember it was a weird vibe when it came out.
Was the Orbits made out of the same stuff as the lava lamps?
No, it was no, it was not. But it kind of looked like it, and it wasn't made out of the boba stuff either. It was like some weird gelatinous stuff. But I wanted to do like soda and drink labels with the name redacted, but it was just like too tricky. It gets tricky laying that stuff out. But I'm glad that with the visual stuff that we got in there.
Well, I could spot Surge from a mile away. I remember my Surge. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
Jolt.
Yeah, and I think Jolt I believe is in there.
Surge is Jolt. I think is older than the 90s when I looked it up. Yeah.
And it's fun, like you said. You have some really cool frameworks here. Like you have cryptograms, and specifically the one you just mentioned with the drinks. And it made me not tear up, or maybe a tear of joy, though. You have Zima in there because Matt's always drinking Zima, even to this day. You have a stockpile.
You gotta find it. It's on eBay. You can find it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, everyone's drinking these, like, what do they call them? RTDs, ready to drink, right? I mean, like, what is White Claw if not the great granddaughter of a Zima?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
It's evolution.
No, it totally is. That was a great answer to all this stuff, just because I was curious, what came out of you, very quickly. I mean, some of them that are close to my heart for sure are like, where does this TV show take place? Because all the sitcoms we watched, like you kind of always just assume they're Midwest because of the way the production design is, because they want to appeal to everyone. But then, you have some that are Cleveland and some that are Miami or
Is
Oakland.
Cleveland not the Midwest?
That's true. I guess Cleveland is the Midwest. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, because if you ask people, then is Pittsburgh the Midwest? Like it starts. Where does it?
Yeah, right.
People from Chicago
and I guess
consider
Philly could
only Chicago the Midwest.
Philly's not the Midwest.
No, that's definitely East Coast.
Yeah,
but
It's like right on the coast there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like a show like some shows, the city was really a character. Like Frasier. Yeah. Frasier was so Seattle, right? And obviously the pickle shows, as people call them, like Mad About You and Seinfeld and Friends and Frasier or whatever, very coastal. But then like Boy Meets World, like it was in Philadelphia, but like who could know that?
It could have been in Wisconsin,
Home Improvement was Detroit, I remember.
Yeah, very Detroit.
He talks about cars all the time. I didn't realize, or at least I forgot, that Coach was in Orlando. Like I never put that together.
Right.
I always thought, they're at the university or whatever.
Well,
like,
he
I never really
coaches
thought
the Orlando professional fake football team at one point, I believe, in Coach. Weird stuff.
Oh.
And the one that always catches everyone is Hanging with Mr. Cooper, which actually in the opening credits they show like a mural that says Oakland. But everyone forgets that one was in Oakland.
Wasn't their mascot, the basketball team, wasn't it Penguins, I think?
The Orlando?
Or No, Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Am I like
I don't know what you're
completely
talking
nuts? I thought their school mascot was the Penguins for some reason. I don't know. I used to watch that one all the time. But and speaking of just some of the different formats you have in here, is there one? Obviously, I think you said the Home Alone was your favorite, probably. Like just the different way of doing trivia, kind of. Yeah,
well, that one was just fun because that's an example of something that, I mean, I don't know about you all, but I watched that movie 10 zillion times.
Yes.
And I don't know that I would get that right. And I wrote the quiz, So I do like, in terms of stuff that's a little closer to traditional trivia, like I enjoyed the book to movie adaptation thing because it's like there are kind of two ways in on that. I always like when there's a couple different ways in. I did enjoy the I Wish That I Had Jerry's Girl.
Oh yes.
Who all the because you watch, if you rewatch Seinfeld, it's a who's who of actresses playing his girlfriend, and they're on, if they're lucky, they're on for one episode. But yeah, I like the stuff that got a little more visual, a little more puzzly versus straight questions, because I have a little less experience with that. There was one that didn't make it into the book that I thought was really fun, which was it was like odd menu items from all these 90s era chains, and you had to like figure out what chain it was in. It was
That's
from.
awesome.
Yeah, the Good Burger's kind of a giveaway, but
Southwest egg rolls, kind of a staple as well. But yeah, it was kind of fun to be like it was fun to look at the old menus from these restaurants, that the stuff we were eating and the crazy names that they would give stuff.
And the 5,000 calories per item, I imagine.
Yeah.
So the book is called Baby Got Facts, Totally 90s Trivia. And for all of our listeners to, once you hear this episode, make sure to email us at trivialitypodcast@gmail.com. And then we'll just take, the first 10 or however many email right away, and we'll do a little number generator, and we'll send one of you a copy of this book, because we think you'll love it as well, especially for all of our listeners who aren't really big on pop culture like we are. You come on the show and you're a little afraid of the pop culture questions, but this will give you a nice primer for you.
What should the subject line be?
The subject line, Buzzy, what should the subject line be? We'll let you pick.
Is Baby Got Facts not specific enough for you guys?
We get so many
Sounds
emails
great.
that already say Baby Got Facts.
Say that?
No, we don't.
So subject line, Baby Got Facts, and you'll be entered into the raffle.
The other quiz that always trips people up, even people who are big music fans, is the Feel the Power bonus quiz, which is the first line of 90s power ballads. When you don't hear them with the music, you're just reading the lyrics. It's actually quite challenging.
Tell me about it, Buzzy. Those ones kill me.
That's a funny observation, because I honestly don't think I could tell you lyrics to some of my favorite songs by writing them out without hearing the music. It's just one of those things that it's so inseparable,
And I think you even have, the first one here is "Hold On, Little Girl, Show Me What He's Done to You," which is a classic for me. I don't know if you guys know that one, but
Is that that's a Mr. Big, right? To Be With You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Classic.
Yeah, that's a great one too. But so I'm curious too. I don't know if you mind talking about it, but we know a lot of listeners that we have, or people that have been on the show, have been on Jeopardy or want to be on Jeopardy.
Sure.
And obviously you've been famous for it, but we're just curious, like when it comes to Jeopardy, I don't know if you have this because you didn't really miss a lot of questions, but our question was, is there a question that like keeps you up at night? You're like, man, I wish I would have gotten that one right because I know it in my heart.
There's a few. I missed a question in the Tournament of Champions that I was in. There's a few. Okay. So the Tournament of Champions that I was in, the first day final. I mean, obviously coming back from zero to win the Tournament of Champions was great, but I missed a question about the iPhone, and I actually worked at the ad agency that did all the Apple work. So that one was like for personal, it wasn't like that I didn't win. It was just like for personal reasons, that one has been tough to stomach. There was a question that I guessed on in my regular run, to try to make up some space, and it was about it was a nickname for some regiment, what they called some regiment of British troops, and it was the Thin Red Line was what the answer was, that I missed, and I don't know why that one really bothers me. It was in my last game, and it was like a $2,000 clue, and
big Terrence Malick fan as well.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And then from when I was in the All-Stars team one, I missed a question about a Final Jeopardy about Emma Goldman, who, in spite of the fact that like just now I kind of blanked on her, someone that I know a lot about. And if I'd gotten that right, my team would have gone to the finals of All-Stars, which would have been great. And it was just one of those. I got it like right when the timer came up, and I've since blocked her out of all conscious. Like
so that was the one. That's the one.
That's the one. Yeah.
We have this saying here too. People who come on, or it's us every week. But once you're kind of in front of the microphone, you lose like 10% of your brain power for some reason. I don't know why.
And if you had a camera, it's even more.
It's even worse. Yeah. So that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep. A lot of pressure for you.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of Jeopardy, it's super exciting. I mean, I think you can talk about it, I would think, but you have a new podcast coming out, right?
No, I do not. There was a podcast that came out about a year ago. Is that
or was it 2023? Yeah. Okay. That's what I was thinking.
I forgot what year it was.
So I get to participate in the weekly Inside Jeopardy podcast, which is sort of a current events of what's going on with Jeopardy. In addition to that, though, last year we did podcast called This is Jeopardy, which was kind of a history of the show. Super fun. We dug into some cool little nooks and crannies beyond just, the Wikipedia page of Jeopardy. So kind of, how people watch Jeopardy, the experience of, being the host. They followed Ken for a day, the experience of being a contestant, all kinds of stuff, people who found love through the show. So all different kind of weird, kind of a This American Life approach to the show. Super fun.
And I'm just curious, this is kind of just a weird insider baseball production question for Jeopardy, but when you're when you're playing with the buzzer and everything and you're answering, I'm assuming that's probably pretty hard and stressful, but when you are guest hosting, are you reading the questions off a screen, or are they all on hard copy like paper?
So Alex did it off of paper, and when Ken first stepped in, they were still on paper. And then when they started to bring in the guest hosts who were not as familiar with the show, they switched to a screen. So now there is a screen.
Okay.
And what they do is when you host, you can mark up your script, so I had a whole system that I used to use to help me remember kind of how I wanted to do a read. And then they scan that in. So when you see the whole board, and then when the clue pops up, it takes up the whole screen, but you have whatever notes you made on it.
Oh, interesting. Awesome. So someone or the machine or someone if someone says, I want this category for this amount of money, it'll pop up for you, or do you have to choose it to open that question?
Pops up for you.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, they kind of like idiot-proofed it for us.
There's a man behind the curtain.
There is.
Bringing it up.
Just shuffling through them, trying to put it up.
And there's a person, who's manually doing the scores. There's someone who's bringing up the clues, all that stuff. So it's a lot of it is more automated than it was when it was like people pulling the cardboard up to reveal the clue. But it's not. It's still there's still a lot of people involved making the show.
Absolutely,
that's really cool. And then just on your promo for the book, I saw that you were on Watch What Happens Live, which I watched a lot with Andy Cohen. How was that experience?
That was amazing. I did not know what to expect. I mean, I watched the show, so I knew what to expect in that sense. But like, I showed up, and like the elevator opens up, and it's like a party, and like people are drinking, and like so excited to be there at 2:45 in the afternoon. And I was like, I just like walked into a whole other universe, and it's just for someone like me who sort of only tangentially kind of knows what's going, and I do kind of keep up a little bit with some of the stuff going on in the Bravo universe. The lore is so deep. The lore is so deep, and these people are like speaking so deeply and profoundly about things that like I'm like, am I having a stroke? What's going on here? Like, I don't like
about so-and-so cheating or leave. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Just like the sequence of words I know makes sense to someone, but I am not that. And some of it, like, I can keep up with, so that's what's weird. I kind of like go from like knowing what's going on to all of a sudden like really not knowing what's going on. And part of it is like I don't follow those people on social media necessarily. So the stuff that kind of like bubbles up beyond the social media, like the kind of some of the celebrity stuff, I'll know about that or whatever. But when it's like so-and-so commented on so-and-so's, like a beef that's happening on each other's like Instagram or something, I'm like completely lost, but everyone knows. It's so cool. I mean, it's such an awesome, like, I love that these things exist. And Andy was really, really kind, super nice. And I had a great time. I was traveling, and I added a day to my trip to do that, and I'm really glad I did.
Yeah, no, it was awesome, and my mom is a Bravo-holic. She talks and interacts with all the housewives and such on Twitter, but she texted me and said, Buzzy Cohen is on. He does trivia. Do you know who that is? I was like, yes, of course I know who Buzzy is, because she listens to our podcast. She was our first listener of the trivia podcast, even though she doesn't listen. She doesn't do trivia, but she likes listening. So yeah. But no, she saw you on there, and she watches every night. But I was just curious about that. It seemed like it
was like a fun crossover event for the nerds to infiltrate the Bravo clubhouse. And the other kind of weird, interesting thing is that Michael Davies, who is the current executive producer of Jeopardy, is also the executive producer of Watch What Happens Live.
Oh, no way. That's so funny. Well, I guess we'll see you on probably the next season of Real Housewives of Orange County or something, maybe.
Beverly Hills, maybe. I'll try to get in there.
Yeah, you should. So for people at home, obviously we've been talking about the book, Baby Got Facts. It's awesome. It has a ton of questions. Would you mind hitting us with a couple different ones to play with? Just
I'll give you my first one. Was my favorite question from the whole quiz.
Okay.
Which was in the first potpourri. I got to have a potpourri, right? Here we go. Sergei Krikalev, known as the last Soviet citizen, had what job during the dissolution of the Soviet Union?
Oh,
this seems like a Jeff question.
No, I think I know this one.
Is there a movie about the guy?
I think so.
Chess Master.
I think I know it from a movie or something. Hold on.
It's always.
I'm getting like Peter Stormare maybe talks about him in Armageddon or something. I'm trying to think. I think he was he a...
Buzzy, this is something to watch. Watch this man's mind work right here.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's coming to me. I'll get it. I think Peter Stormare may have referenced him in Armageddon or something else. I think he was an astronaut. That's my guess. Cosmonaut.
That would make sense.
That is correct. He was a cosmonaut. He was up on the space station Mir when the Soviet Union was dissolved, and he had to stay up there about twice as long as he planned to because the country that sent him into space didn't exist anymore to bring him home.
Oh my God!
Yes, the Russian space station.
The Russian space station. Yeah.
It's sort of a it's kind of like, what was the Tom Hanks movie where the guy's stuck in the airport because his
terminal.
They don't exist. Terminal. It's like a terminal but for outer space.
I would love that movie. That'd be fun to see with him up in space. Yeah.
All right, here we go. Are you guys ready? So this is, I describe the Arnold films, the plot summary, and you have to tell me what movie it was. So I'll do a couple of these, okay?
Okay.
Douglas Quaid tries to piece together what is memory and what is fantasy as he uncovers a conspiracy on Mars.
I know this one.
Yeah,
I'll let her. Maybe Matt. Matt, do you know this one?
Matt or Jeff?
This one, it's not Fifth Element. Which one is it?
No.
That's Bruce Willis, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember when I once took off my shirt and there was a little person like coming out of my stomach?
There was a little something extra.
Yeah. I was going, Matt.
It's okay. I don't know.
We're gonna go Total Recall.
Total Recall, yeah.
Yeah.
Detective John Kimball goes undercover to find the wife and child of a suspected drug dealer.
It's not the Tuma.
Detective John Kimball.
No, that's Who Is Your Daddy and What Does He Do?
Yeah, all right.
Kindergarten, yeah.
Yeah, Kindergarten Cop, for sure.
Arnold plays Jack Slater as well as himself in this film, parodying many of the characters he himself has portrayed, in which a magical ticket allows a young man to enter the world of the films he loves.
This one's Shane Black. Yeah, this one's really underrated in my opinion. John McTiernan, but some people don't like it. Last Action Hero.
Yeah. That was Last Action Hero. Okay, here we go. This one. There we go. A billionaire tries to undermine the efforts of two scientists, one looking to reverse global warming and the other trying to reforest the earth.
Ooh.
Is it like one of those late 90s ones?
Like 9 Days or...
End of Days.
End of Days, yeah.
That one's about the end of days, if I recall.
I will tell you that at the end of this clue, I wrote, ha.
Oh, man.
This is a tough one.
This one's stumping me, yeah. And I love Arnold. I've seen all his movies.
Are you guys ready?
We're ready.
We're ready.
Give up. That is Batman and Robin.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right.
Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy.
That's a good trick there. I like that. That's
Poison
good.
Ivy, the most justifiable of Batman.
Yeah, when he was, as soon as he was revealing it, he was billionaire, I was like, Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. So he's trying to undermine, who's really the bad guy here.
That's right.
I also have a very fun, I won't do it with you guys, but Christina, Brittany, or both category.
Oh, I love it.
I can go all day. I've got 128 pages of these.
Why don't you hit us with one more category here?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This quiz is called Pixel Perfect. So this is stuff about computers and stuff like that. Here we go. Super Mario Bros. 3 was released in North America in 1990 for the NES. The following year, Super Mario World was released for the Super Nintendo console, aka SNES. This game introduced a new character that the player could ride, inspired by one of the game designer's love of horseback riding. What was the name of this friendly dinosaur?
Well, as a huge Super Smash Brothers fan.
And this was my character.
This was Jeff's character, and I'd be happy to spike him into oblivion anytime. And you could do that in Mario, too. You could just jump right off of him over the gap. We're going to go with Yoshi.
That's
I'd love
right.
to be able to do the voice, but...
That's the easy question. Now I'm going to take you into the deep water.
All right, let's go.
What flagship character was inspired by the color of its parent company's logo, Michael Jackson's shoes, and Bill Clinton's can-do attitude?
Is this we're still in the Mario world here?
No, we're still in the video
Nintendo?
game world.
Oh, video games.
So Bill Clinton's can-do attitude. Mm-hmm. What was the other?
Michael Jackson shoes.
Michael Jackson
shoes and the color of the parent company's logo.
Yeah, so he's blue, he has red shoes, and he's got a bit of an attitude. And he goes fast, I imagine.
Oh.
Was he voiced by John Ralphio?
John Ralphio Saperstein. So, yeah, Sonic?
This is the worst. Yes, Sonic.
That's why if you don't touch the controller for a minute, Sonic pulls out a cigar, starts smoking the cigar.
Yeah, and also that's why like Sonic was really into like healthcare reform. Which a lot of people don't know. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, it goes on, and I don't know if you guys want to keep going. I can pull out maybe
we can do a few more.
Yeah, I'll do a couple more.
Yeah,
why not?
Yeah. All right.
We're in the 90s, Neil. That's 80s.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
No, but
let's
Yeah, that's Teenage Mutant Girls too.
Okay.
This one you guys are going to know because you're of the right age. The rock band Temple of the Dog was originally conceived as a tribute to Andrew Wood, who had been the lead singer of Seattle's Mother Love Bone before passing away at the age of 24 in 1990. Members of the Temple of the Dog gained widespread fame as a part of the grunge movement with what two bands?
I'm going hungry.
Look, I don't mind stealing bread, okay?
Yeah.
On occasion.
Right.
It's so expensive now, you have to, basically.
Now we established that Eddie Vedder was a permanent member, right, of Temple of the Dog?
I thought he was just appearing on.
I think was
Wasn't he
it
just
Cornell?
Cornell was the temporary member.
Temporary?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember.
I thought Cornell was the permanent member, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think the idea is they're kind of all temporary members, right? Because it was sort of like
temporary band in general.
Yeah.
So we'll go Soundgarden and
Pearl
Jam.
Jam.
Excellent job, fellas.
Yeah, Soundgarden's still the loudest show I've ever been to. As my ears still ringing.
All right. There was what Italian chain's name translates loosely as Joey's Little Place?
Olive Garden.
I just saw a TikTok of someone. All these women keep bringing their Italian boyfriends from Italy to Olive Garden, and they're just so disappointed every time they get there. But.
Yeah, we have a friend from Italy, and my wife, when she was pregnant, loved Olive Garden. Like my wife has good taste in food, but Olive Garden was hidden, and she was like, "We got to bring you. And our friend was like, "We don't fry lasagna." You know?
All right, so Joey's Little Place.
Joey's Little Place.
Buca di Beppo.
He got it.
Is that right?
Buca di Beppo. He's
Nice.
100% right.
I can't believe
very
it.
Good.
Very, very good.
I dug into my heritage a little bit. Yeah.
Very, very good. All right. Well, I'll spare you guys some more.
We appreciate it.
But yeah.
If you guys want to hear the rest of them, you buy the book, you guys.
Yeah,
that's
you buy
right.
the book.
I mean, we're not going to get
Get
it
free
for free.
toast.
Yeah, that's
free
right.
toast.
So I'm guessing you can get this book anywhere, I would assume, right? So if you want to go online, Amazon or indie bookstores, I'm sure are great too to help out.
BarnesandNoble.com.
Yep.
And wherever else you get your books.
Well, make sure you buy this book, You Filthy Animals. There's a 90s reference for you.
Yeah.
And Baby
Devils
Got Facts.
was Angels with Dirty Wings.
Yep.
No, Angels with
Filthy
Filthy Wings.
Faces.
Angels with Filthy Souls.
Yeah.
Yes.
Filthy Soul.
Here's a little trivia fact that got cut out of my book coming out.
Okay.
For you. So,
But you're not allowed
isn't
to
it?
name your new book on this.
well,
one
no,
'cause we're promoting.
no,
Buzzy's.
I'm not going to. But
Well,
anyway,
we'll do it later.
I just found it hilarious that Seth Rogen, Elijah Wood, Nick Kroll, and Macaulay Culkin himself thought that movie was a real movie that they just
I
played.
did too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? Yeah, right. Exactly. But yeah, they just shot that in a day, doing lighting setups and stuff with Chicago actors, which is kind of fun. So
that's really funny.
So check out the book, Baby Got Facts, Totally 90s Trivia, by Buzzy Cohen. Anywhere that you want people to find you, like Instagram and Twitter, where can they say hello?
I'm more on Instagram these days, at Buzzy Cohen Official. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm not very active, but you can follow me at Buzzitronics. I'm on TikTok, not very active there yet. Let's stick with Instagram. How about that?
Go to Instagram, people.
We'll stick with Instagram. Like we said, if you can email us with the subject line "Baby Got Facts" with your name, we'll put you into a little raffle and send you a copy of the book. We know you're going to love it. And Buzzy, if we'd love to have you back on. If you want to just play a game, we'll have our friend Julia, who hosts with us, write a game for us, and we'll all play together.
I will not come to play a game, but I will come to win a game.
Ooh, there you go.
I like it.
That's probable. And
we'll take your word for that. We suck.
We'll put up a fight, but for how long, I don't know.
We'll have to pay Julia off.
Yeah, that's right.
Whatever it takes.
Really deep Chicago Bulls 90s questions.
I also always like to point out whenever I play something, I'm like, you never said cheating was against the rules. So
it's not in the rules.
Are your parents lawyers?
My parents are not lawyers.
Okay.
No, but,
then you can play.
Okay, then you can play. And
that should be you got to ask people now. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Buzzy, for joining us today. Yeah, of course. And we're excited to see the book do very well, and we hope everyone that listens gets a copy. And then we'll have to we'll have you on the show and see what happens. We'll probably get wiped. You'll wipe us pretty bad, but that'll be okay.
That would be fun. It would be fun to win one.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you so much to Buzzy. Check out the book, Baby Got Facts, Totally 90s Trivia, barnesandnoble.com, anywhere you get your books. But yeah, that was a special episode of Triviality. Thank you to Buzzy and Matt and Jeff and Ken. My name is Neil, and we hope you enjoy some of the 90s in your own life. That's a bad catchphrase, but I'm sticking with it.
Cowabunga.
Cowabunga. There you go.